Welcome to the regular council meeting of Tuesday, October 15th, 2024 at 4:47 p.m. in council chambers and via Zoom. We acknowledge that the town of Kirkland Lake is located on the traditional territory of Algonquin peoples, including the Beaver House First Nation and unceded territory of. We recognize the presence of the Algonquin, Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Cree, and Métis people in our community since time immemorial and honor their stewardship and care of these lands. We hereby affirm our continued commitment and responsibility to reconciliation. Item number 1, call to order on a moment of silence. Item number 2, approval of the agenda, moved by Councillor Ranger, seconded by Councillor Kylie. Deputy Clerk.
Be it resolved, or moved by Councillor Janice Ranger, seconded by Councillor Patrick Kylie. Be it resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of council held on Tuesday, October 15th, 2024 be approved as circulated.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 3, declaration of pecuniary interest. None noted. Item number 4, petitions and delegations. There are none this evening. Item number 5, acceptance of minutes and recommendations. Item 5.1, council minutes, moved by Councillor Shava, seconded by Councillor Owens. Deputy Clerk.
Moved by Councillor Lad Shaba, seconded by Councillor Casey Owens. Be it resolved that council approve the minutes of the following meeting. Minutes of the regular meeting of council held October 1st, 2024.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item 5.2, local and regional board minutes, moved by Councillor Ranger, seconded by Councillor Owen.
Moved by Councillor Janice Ranger, seconded by Councillor Rick Owen. Be it resolved that council receive the minutes of the following meetings. Minutes of the Kirkland Lake District Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors held June 11th, 2024 and September 3rd, 2024. And minutes of Temiskaming Health Unit Board of Health held September 4th, 2024.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 6, reports of municipal officers and communications. 6.1, moved by Councillor Owen, seconded by Councillor Dykens. Proposed updates to the town's land sale policy. Madam Clerk.
Moved by Councillor Casey Owens, seconded by Councillor Dolly Dykens. Be it resolved that report number 2024 DEB 025 entitled Proposed Updates to the Town's Land Sale Policy be received, and that council approve the sale and other disposition of municipal land policy as presented, and that council direct that the sale and other disposition of municipal land policy take effect immediately, and that council repeal bylaw 09064, being a bylaw to establish the procedures for the sale of real property owned by the municipality, and finally that the sale and other disposition of municipal land policy be numbered and inserted into the corporate policy manual.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, through you to the rest of council. Collaboratively working with our planning consultant, JL Richards, tonight to bring forward the proposed update to the sale and other disposition of municipal lands policy. The current land policy of 2009 was outdated, needed updating to reflect current best practice methods. The policy or the procedures and methods section details clearly the declaration of surplus land, the identifying fair market value, methods of disposal, administrative processes, and purchasers' responsibilities. Statutory and legal notices were identified along with a new conflict of interest section added to the policy. The proposed policy before you, along with the application and form letters, were updated for consistency and compliance. Council does have the opportunity not to adopt the updated modernized policy before you tonight, but it wouldn't be an administration's recommendation, as a proposed policy will ensure that the town is providing a consistent, accountable, and transparent approach to all future land sales. In closing, the proposed policy outlines the framework needed for the overall management of the town real property. I'm open to answer any questions, should you have any tonight.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Councillor Shabba.
Yeah, to Madam Chair, to the Director. So if we're selling a piece of property, do we actually have an idea how much that property is worth? Or we just wait till people start throwing bids and then go for the highest bidder or whatever the case might be?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Shabba, in the document, it outlines the two options that we would have should we be disposing and selling future property. In the flow chart, it would show if we would have go the route of a direct sale, which then, depending on the price, we would ask for a property appraisal be conducted. And the other route would be a request for bid. And that's when we would put it out for bids for a period of 45 days. So when we're coming upon how we're going to determine them moving forward, where we would initially only place a $2 a square foot or that at this point is recommended by our planning consultant that we really truly take a look at what the true value of said property is. And the best way to do that is to place a property appraisal.
Thank you.
So, yeah, can I
Follow
follow
up?
up? Yes, so if I look at the attachment number 3, the flow chart, so that property value assessment, you will get that first. So
That's
you
correct.
get that X amount of dollar for either option anyways, right?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor, that's correct.
Councillor Owens.
Through you, Madam Mayor, according to the flow chart, it's a simple 17-step process to purchase property in the town of Kirkland Lake, right?
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes.
What would be the possible timeline for someone to expect to be able to buy a property? Like, if everything's successful and you go through all these steps, like, is it a period of time?
Through you, Madam Mayor, it's not, the 17 stages aren't necessarily placed there to make something longer. It's to make sure that I's are dotted and T's are crossed. The process itself would be probably just as long as it is currently, but it definitely shores up any of the accountabilities that may have not been there in the past.
Councillor Owen.
Yes, through you, your worship. If I read this policy correctly, if it went out to tender, we have reserved the right to not sell the land, even if we get, if we feel that the bids come in under what the land is worth, right?
Through you, Madam Mayor, that is correct.
Okay, I
You
just
still have the final decision.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm that in a public setting. Thank you.
Excellent. Anything further from members of council? Nothing, Councillor Ranger.
Through you, Madam Mayor, it's more of a, I didn't hear the language, and maybe that's where my question comes. I'm looking at, from a prospective buyers or the perception of the community, the keyword of efficiency. We do have a reputation of red tape and things taking an extraordinary amount of time to go through these hoops. I haven't experienced it, but this is the feedback I'm getting, so I'm putting it out there in this public forum. Will there be future discussions about potentially reducing the 17 steps and or there being some sort of outline or communication so that people understand, like, these things don't happen overnight, even though some sales, or maybe their experience in the past in a private sector purchase of land or property has given them that experience. When you're purchasing or working with a municipality, there are really important steps for us to follow, and the time it takes for it to come to council for approval. Are these maybe some things that are already in the works, or should there future be a motion put forward to bring those things to light?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Ranger, the process, yes, is 17 steps, and I understand that on the onset can look cumbersome. But when we look at the process that was previous, there was a lot of stages that were not being explained to prospective buyers that really did hold a lot of items up that caused the municipality to fumble when that was being taken place. The policy reads that we will be looking at delivering a set time of year where we will be taking intakes. And when you do place, let's say, 8 properties at a time that are currently already on the surplus land list and putting them all out to tender at the same time for bids, you're actually creating efficiencies instead of bringing them one by one as they come in. So yes, I do agree that seeing 17 steps can look like we are lengthening the process. But I think in the end, having a clear and precise process that wasn't there is going to make things more efficient for my department.
Thank you.
Counselor, sorry, before you speak, CAO Smith?
Also, just to follow up through Madam Mayor, that many of the steps that you see there are through legislation, planning act, things we have to do. So we can definitely empathize with developers and the role of government, for example, but we do have to follow certain things through legislation that we just cannot get out there. We have to do. So.
Sorry, Counselor Dykens.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Director Levy. I'm not sure if it's in there, I'm a little bit tired, but is there a surplus list and how accessible is it to the public? Like I know I've been in other municipalities, any day you want to go in, they had the current list, you could take it with you. I'm just wondering how accessible ours is, and if it's not very, are we planning to change that?
For sure, through Madam Mayor, we do have a directory of our surplus land list on our website. Should a member of the public or a developer wish to speak or have a pre-consultation, it is always available at Development Services Office, so it is readily available. I will add that we've taken steps through this process to also arrange our marketing of our surplus land. So we have updated for sale signs that will be on properties when they are listed for a bid, so that residents can see the properties that are for sale currently.
Thank you. Follow up, Counselor Dykens?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for that. I realize it's on the website, but even tech savvy people have difficulty with our website, so I just wanted to find out the second step, they could come here and get a list right at any time. Okay, thank you.
That's a valid point. Counselor Kylie?
Through you, your worship. Can there be provisions in the acceptance of the offer to, for example, to say the owner must build or do something with the property improvements within a certain time frame, or forfeit the price of the property?
Through you, Madam Mayor, the to build clause has been in our process historically and is continued through this process. So when someone is purchasing the property, that still does apply.
Thank you.
Counselor Owen?
Through you, your worship, well, I appreciate that doing business with the town can be very slow. And it's something that, you know, we should strive to make as streamlined as possible. I've only ever bought 2 properties. And one was delayed 3 months because of lawyer schedules. Okay? The other went through quite quickly. So I'm not trying to justify 17 steps, because I believe we should try to accommodate our customers as quickly as we can. But the same thing can happen in the private sector, where, I mean, I had a closing date 3 months in a row, which was fine. I celebrated 3 months in a row. But on the third one, it went through. So I just want to throw that out. it could be just as slow in a private field.
Yeah, CEO Smith.
Just want, through Madam Mayor, to members of council, just want to add that the process that we now have really plays on consistency, so people know exactly what they're getting into, and also being very transparent to the public. And, you know, now we have that process in place. And I would like to actually to mention the hard work that Dan, our clerk, Jen, and Jen, our planning administrator, put into this. It was a thorough review, and I think it's a job well done. This one.
Anything further from members of council? Councillor Shattuck?
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair, thank you very much. I'm just gonna go back to my first question, because one of the problems that I've been having, sitting here for quite a while, is when we have land sale, it's always go back to $1 something, a square foot, $1 thing, and then we'll go back and forth and so on. So if we know the assessment or the value of that property, of that piece of land, so what is that $1, whatever comes in, what does that come into this now? Do we still go by that? Because I remember, you know, requests come here, we say, okay, go back and ask for $1 or 10 cents more. And all of that, so if we ever know that, hey, this property was valued at $2,000, then that should be it. You shouldn't be going back and forth. But is that still gonna be the same, or what's gonna be going forward?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Shaba. On a direct sale, for when someone comes directly to the town, that's not through the bidding process, then that still can come to council for council's decision on what price they choose to place on that property. But the recommendations coming forward is that if they are larger parcels of property, that a property assessment should be done prior to sale. So that the town is doing their due diligence in selling the property for what the property is worth and not undervaluing property.
Awesome.
CEO Smith?
Also, building on Dan's point, once you're in a closed session, then of course negotiations might be undertaken. So that's when that conversation can actually happen also.
Anything further from members of council? I just do want to pick up before we vote on the fact that this, having written policies, increases our accountability and our transparency, both at the council table and for staff. Now, the members of the public have a roadmap of what to expect. And I'm big on that, like everybody around the table, that when you're dealing with the town of Kirkland Lake, you will now be able to point to a document and kind of like a checklist, I am here. So I think that's brilliant, and I think it was long needed and long overdue, so excellent, excellent. So do we need the motion read around the table? Perfect, all in favor? Opposed? None noted, item carried unanimous, thank you. Item 6.3, Cenotaph Management Proposed Maintenance and Liability Agreement with the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 87, moved by, oh, did I skip one?
Yes.
Yes, I did, because I took notes, so. Yeah, 6.1 is unanimous. Item 6.2, supplemental request for easement agreement with Ontario One Networks. Sorry, item moved by Councillor Ranger, seconded by Councillor Kylie. Deputy Clerk.
Moved by Councillor Janice Ranger, seconded by Councillor Patrick Kiley. Be it resolved that report number 2024 DEV 026 entitled Supplemental Request for Easement Agreement with Hydro One Networks Inc. Briggs Trail be received. And finally, that the September 17th, 2024 resolution of council be amended as follows. And that council authorize the mayor and municipal clerk to execute an easement agreement with Hydro One Networks Inc. over part of mining claims L1439 and L2728. And finally, that an execution bylaw be brought forward for 3 readings on October 15th, 2024.
Thank you, Jenna. Sorry, you may continue.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to council. So we're seeing this report again because when we brought the original request at the September 17th meeting, there was an error made in the legal description for the affected area. So the report's just being brought back to amend that previous resolution to reflect the actual legal text, nothing has changed with the proposal, it's still in the same area. Nothing's changed in the agreement, it was just, yeah, just a missing mining claim.
Thank you for that. Any questions from council? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? None noted. That item is now carried unanimously. Now we'll move on to 6.3. Cenotaph Management Proposed Maintenance and Liability Agreement with the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 87, moved by Councillor Dyken, seconded by Councillor Shaba.
Moved by Councillor Dolly Dyken, seconded by Councillor Raj Shaba. Be it resolved that report number 2024 CS 006 entitled Cenotaph Management Proposed Maintenance and Liability Agreement with the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 87 be received, and that council authorize the mayor and municipal clerk to execute the maintenance and liability agreement as presented between the corporation of the town of Brooklyn Lake and the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 87. And finally, that an execution bylaw be brought forward for 3 readings on November 5th, 2024.
Welcome, Director Clockers, you may proceed.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor, through you to council. Tonight I'm presenting a proposed maintenance and liability agreement between the town and the Royal Canadian Legion, Ontario Command Branch 87. This agreement outlines clear responsibilities of both parties with regards to the maintenance, liability, repairs, and future upgrades at the Cenotaph located within Bright Hargraves Park. Some of the key points contained in this agreement are that the RCL will agree to undertake alterations in construction at their own expense, along with providing proof of insurance. The RCL will ensure the grounds surrounding the Cenotaph meet established standards upon completion of any construction or repair work. The RCL is responsible for providing notice to the town 60 days before the commencement of any work. The town will be responsible for notifying tenants of any work to be completed within the park, as there is shared lease land there. And the town will waive fees for construction permits for the Cenotaph for any future war memorials to be erected. So there's currently limited formal documentation outlining ownership and responsibility for the upkeep of the Cenotaph. And after review, it was determined that this responsibility should rest with the local Legion. Historically, the town has maintained the grounds surrounding the Cenotaph, and we have also received some funding for upgrades in the past, in 2009 specifically. This agreement has been reviewed by our legal counsel and with the president of the local Legion branch. And I believe the proposed arrangement will provide very clear guidance moving forward and help to foster a collaborative relationship between the town and the Legion. I'd be happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Thank you. Questions from council, Councillor Owen.
Yes, to you, Madam Mayor, to the director. In the document, it says we receive 60 days notification. Does that notification also give us the right to say no? Because we own the land, and I can't see this happen, but I'm just asking, there is potentially a situation where the Legion may want to do something that a council may feel is not in the best interest of the residents. So does the 60-day notice also give us the right to say we don't approve?
Through you, Madam Mayor. Absolutely, yeah. So the 60 days notice would give us that direction, especially if they're going to do something outside of the agreement. So they're allowed to do, minor repairs, construction. They want to update some plaques now. But if they're going to erect a new monument and we feel as though that might work, we have authority to do that.
Thank you.
Councillor Owens.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. I just want to double check that this is not putting any hidden fees back onto the Legion. A few years ago, we passed a bylaw that ended up causing collateral damage, if you want, to the Legion. They ended up having to pay for something that they shouldn't have. So does this, like, I know you said we're gonna waive fees, but there's no undue extra fees or anything like that.
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor. No, I don't foresee there being any additional fees. Any work that needs to be done is at the expense of the Legion, but there shouldn't be anything additional on top of that. Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Shaba.
Yeah, to Madam Chair, to the director, I know you've indicated that the town has consulted with the legal. Do you know if the Legion, they also consulted with the legal too? We don't know about that.
So it was brought forward at their executive board meeting. I'm not sure who exactly sits on their board. But they did come back to us with some proposed changes and we kind of came to this agreement together, so.
Thanks.
Thank you. Anything further?
I just would also
Yes.
stress that we are waiving the building permit fees as a good gesture, so.
Perfect. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Thank you. Item 6.4, proposed community beautification survey, moved by Councillor Owen, seconded by Councillor Owens.
Moved by Councillor Rick Owens, seconded by Councillor Casey Owens, be it resolved that report number 2024 CS 007 entitled Proposed Community Beautification Survey be received, and that the community beautification survey as presented be implemented and open to residents for a period of 14 days commencing on October 21st, 2024. And finally, that the survey results in a proposed annual community beautification schedule be presented to council in Q2 of 2025.
You may proceed.
Okay, Madam Mayor, through the council, this next report outlines a public engagement initiative aimed at enhancing beautification efforts throughout Kirkland Lake. The proposed survey represents an important first step in creating an annual beautification schedule. While the town has already several initiatives in place, such as planter boxes with beautiful flowers, and community cleanup events, and seasonal banners, we recognize that beautification can take many forms and it means different things to different people. That's why the survey is essential in gathering a broad range of perspectives from our residents. The survey will be widely promoted through a variety of channels, including local newspaper, radio, social media, and on the town's website. Upon receipt of the survey results, staff will compile the data collected and we'll be able to make more informed decisions surrounding an annual beautification schedule. I'd be happy to address any questions now.
Councillor Dykens.
To you, Madam Mayor, to Director Fockers, just a simple question, what's the mode of the survey? Is it paper, is it electronic, is it both?
So right now it is, sorry, through you, Madam Mayor, right now it is just electronic. We absolutely can do some paper copies and have them available at different town locations. There is some admin work when we do paper copies and have to get that data transferred onto it electronically. But that's something that we can do. Just for accessibility for all, some people don't have. Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Ranger.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the Director of Community Services, I'd also like to maybe suggest that we look at either an additional document or just simply writing it on the water bills or the tax bills, the message about the survey, that these are things that are coming down the pipe, so that it's an additional way of reaching out to people who we may miss through the many communication channels that you've already listed.
I just had a, yes.
We will also be having the survey on Facebook, our weekly, so forth, so all those other, media, so we will be inundating the town with our message.
Councillor Owen.
Through your worship to the director, I would just like to back Councillor Dykens and ask for paper copies to be made available, because not all of us are tech savvy. So
Sure.
thank you, I appreciate it.
Duly noted.
Thank you, Councillor.
Councillor Shabba.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair, I'm looking at 14 days. I mean, is that just enough time for people to get this thing in, or short of the time, or
Yeah.
that duration that you come up with 14 days?
Through you, Madam Mayor, it was a collaborative decision, so we agreed having just a short window of time. It's typically enough to get the results that we want. When you leave something open for too long, there's less, I guess, or we'll be ramping up efforts to promote the survey. So we just don't want to keep that continued. We'll ramp it up and then it will be open for a period of 14 days, just so that we don't continue to promote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I follow up? Yeah, through you, Madam Chair, it's just that, if we can get 2 weekends in that 14 days, that would be nice for people, because a lot of people get to other things on weekends, not weekdays, so. But if you have to do it, say, want to start on Monday, and it's due to Mondays after, we only have one weekend, not two, I don't know. But I leave it up to you.
Okay.
I do all my stuff on weekends, other than on weekends.
Anything further from members of council? Thank you very much. All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item 6.5, interim financial report, year-to-date as of June 30th, 2024, moved by Councillor Ranger, seconded by Councillor Owen. Yep, sorry.
Moved by Councillor Janice Ranger, seconded by Councillor Rick Owen. Be it resolved that report number 2024 Corp 038 entitled interim financial report year-to-date as at June 30th, 2024 be received for information.
Thank you. And this will be presented by Lloyd Crocker, Treasurer. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you to council. You have a very short report in front of you. It's just had a couple of summary points. Essentially, I kept it short so that we could get to the meat of the presentation, which is the attachment number 1. I am open, if you want to, I'm gonna go through some of my comments here. They're very short in their presentation, but they might require some further beefing up. If you want to ask a question while I'm going through it, be happy to, or wait to the end. So it's entirely up to you guys how you want to approach this. So having said that, why don't we get started? So you guys are looking at the agenda, I'm assuming, so I'll use the agenda pages, that'll help. So on page 101 or page 2 of the attachment, under the library, I just wanted to point out, there's nothing in no description there, but I missed the fact that we have a grant that hasn't come in yet. It's just a general comment. Page 3 or page 102 of the agenda, you will notice under the museum, there was just fewer workshops, art class offered. That's part of the explanation there. Oh, sorry, just in general, we use 10% this year as kind of our trigger to say, we're looking for an explanation, something to come in front of council with. Many of the directors are here tonight. I'll give the answers that I can as best I can. If I can't answer it, I'll probably ask them to come help me out. But we use 10% this year, which is down from 20 last year. Page 4 or page 103, you'll see under Parks and Recreation, and there's more program grants that they've been able to access this year. Page 5 or page 104 of the agenda. Under the CAO administration. So this is kind of a general comment. Some of the transfers have been booked, some of them haven't. I tried to time the transfers to match up with the expenditures that they're associated with. So you may not see them in June. You're likely to see them in the September report coming up. So, you know, there's no indication that we have a problem here. It's just kind of the accountants trying to match things up. We call it the matching principle, really creative, I'm sure. But you move down to the labor line, it's really not that far off as it appears right there. So by the time we pass the budget, so you remember, this is a new department within our structure. So we've broken out the CAO and that from the other admin department. So when we did the budget, we had it broken out. But by the time we passed the budget, we processed many payrolls. So we've made some attempt to kind of rebalance that, pulling from the two other departments that the original expenses were in. I think in September, this will be very close. It'll start to look much like it should. But that's why the wages line is a little bit off. Again, the admin clerk and also under HR. So there's 2 staff under the CAO department, and their dollars were shared between those 2 departments last year. So we just haven't quite caught up to the allocation of them. Page 6, page 105, under information technology. This is kind of one of those funny things. So in our budget, in our methodology, we try to match up the current year budget with the prior year actual expenditures. So if you're spending an awful lot of money early in the year, the budget will be weighted to early in the year and vice versa later in the year. So this wage line is just kind of a reflection of how we staffed last year versus, what's happening this year. You can see the 103 is really pretty consistent with the overall, being halfway through the overall budget. So there's no indication there's a problem there. On the next line, materials and supplies, the IT department's one of those departments where they're purchasing for all of the departments. So it takes there's a little bit of a lag between the time they'll buy laptops, for example, and those laptops get charged out to the appropriate departments. But in the meantime, it sits in the IT department. So again, it's not really an indicator there's a problem. It's just part of our normal internal bookkeeping. Page 7 or page 106 of the agenda. Under treasury, so we have a government grant, it's an intern grant, which wasn't in the broken out in the original budget. The next one, increased investment income and tax fees. The tax fees are fairly consistent between years. The investment income is just a reflection of the interest rate right now. That'll go down. We're already getting strong indicators that the interest rates are going down. So it'll be one of the challenges for next year's budget. Transfers down below. This one's a little bit different than the other transfers. This is not a transfer from reserves or reserve funds or anything like that. In our municipal accounting system, water and wastewater kind of stand on their own. We expect them to bill enough to cover their expenses. But the Treasury Department recovers some administration costs associated with running the water bills and the AP and the payroll and stuff like that. It's the only transfer we do between departments in a municipality. And it is just to reflect the fact that water and wastewater have a bit of a unique way of doing their accounting records. And we're only halfway through. So again, it's not a problem. It's just we have only done half a year. Page 8, page 107. You'll see that there's under admin, under health and safety, that's just a timing of staff training. There was some staff training originally booked earlier in the year. It's management training, I believe it's called. Safety, health and safety stuff, and it's going to be happening in the fall now. So a timing issue on page 9 or 108 of the agenda. This is under the building department. So there is 3 large projects. One was delayed, one's being delayed to 2025, and 2 more will be later in the fall. May have already happened. This is pretty typical of this department planning and economic development. Depending on when the activity is happening, that's when the revenue shows up. Budgeting for it just doesn't work very well. You can have a lot of building activity early in the year, 1 year, and the next year it's late. So the variations are here. There's nothing other than the description there of what's kind of driving the differences right now. The next page, page 10, 109. The donations revenue, that's just the Frog Express stuff that you guys saw in a couple of reports earlier in the year, which then we turn around and donate. We had a bit of a challenge in the budget, so we go down to labor and related. So this year, the budget was prepared by somebody different than the current director, and that was based on where they thought people were going to be allocated between, so the 3 departments are run by 1 director and 1 admin staff and some other staff, and depending on where they're working at any point in time, they could be allocated between the 3 departments. So if you look at them all together, budget looks fine. It just seems to throw it off between the 3 if you're looking at them individually. So I think next year we'll probably get a little bit closer, but there's been a lot of change in that department in the last few months. Further down the page, user fees, that's again, that timing issue I talked about, whether building permits come in or any kind of permits come in. Last year it came in June, this year it's coming in November. We're not seeing any indicators we have a problem other than there's some differences in timing. The transfer will be adjusted in the fall. Page 11. So right at the very top, that's pretty self-explanatory. Just some land sales that are coming a little bit later than we originally planned for. Further down the page, fire services. So increased fees related to fires and safety standards. We've started to charge the insurance companies when there's a fire for some of the services when we show up to the fire. And also some of the, you see them quite a bit more right now. There's a lot more boarded up buildings that were just left open and dangerous. So the fire department's required when you board them up for safety reasons, the fire department's required to attend. And that's why that revenue is sitting here. So it's a combination of the two. Tech Pioneer. So right at the very top, as part of the budget process, we mentioned to you that we know the province is bringing some more money to the table to try and offset some of the labor and performance standards, that 4 hours of activity, sorry, I don't know how to probably describe it, but activity required by staff to support the people. So we're starting to see that money come through. We still don't know what the final number is. Every month we're seeing adjustments, so it's pretty hard for me to kind of pin it down, but that's what you're seeing there. The donations revenue is quite a bit up, but you guys have already kind of been exposed to that through the budget process, what happened there, and yes. So labor and related, you'll see there's a big variation there. So again, it's a common story that we seem to be, and almost every health agency in the province, especially long-term homes, staffing issues. So we have quite a few people on short-term disability, long-term disability. Every time that happens, every time you're hiring new staff, turning them over, there's a significant time for training required. So that all drives this line up quite a bit. Okay. Page 13, 112 of the agenda. Public Works, so back to the same description I gave you for building and that group. So Public Works, wastewater, and water are all managed by the same director. And on any particular day, their crews, their staff could be assigned to any one of those 3 departments to do work. So variations you'll see pretty much balance out between the 3, but they might look off a little bit depending. So we've got a lot of work going on right now at the end of Prospect and Duncan. So, that'll pull wages from some of the other departments to do that. So that happens all the time. This comment, we could probably copy and paste it for the next 10 years. It's just the way that department runs. Contracted services. This is a budget timing thing. You'll see the budget's heavily weighted to the first part of the year versus it's not half. This is what you'd expect at June. You've heard me say this before. We have some challenges with getting invoices in on time. And so sometimes this is off timing wise. It's not high to the best of my knowledge at this point. It's looking fine. It's a timing issue again. So there's more expensive. We know we've already received some of those late invoices. So we already know that they're catching up versus budget kind of scenario. And the paving's happening a little bit, the patch paving, which is done internally, is happening a little bit later this year than in previous years. If you move down to the street lights, you'll see the contracted services are up. And that's just a case that when we have a problem with the light, we can contract somebody out, go out there and do the repairs. We're seeing more of that this year. It's related to the age of the lights. Next page, 14. Waste, again, the wage line is a reflection of that director choosing who's working at and the supervisors below him. Contracted services, this is a bit of a budget timing thing. You know, most of that contracted services is the one very large contractor we have. So depending on when we get the invoices from them. Again, there's no indicators that we're outside of our agreement or anything like that. On the operating side. Airport, I should have mentioned airport is actually also under that director's decision making. So they've been using the staff that was budgeted for the airport more in the public works department. Water, it's basically the same comments you'll see on the next page, page 15 or 114. And wastewater again. Comment as I made earlier about the allocation of wages and the timing of the contracted services. So the last group of expenditures that we have are the outside charges. Just to be clear, the police charges were earlier. They're basically under treasury. But the other services like the health unit, the DSAB, they're all here, you know, as well as MPAC. There's some, you'll see under the ones that are, I'll call DSAP, so ambulance, social housing, Ontario Works. When we do childcare, when we do the budget, we're working off of the same allocations we had from the previous year. We don't have their budget to do the allocations until a little bit later in the process. So council has seen this when we did the budget process, the fact that this is what was presented at budget, but we talked later about the fact that, you know, DSAB at any point can choose based on their own budget, how much they're spending in ambulance or the various groups, right? We have to pick up our percentage. They decide the allocation. And MPAC is very much in line with the budget amount we were told about. So that's the comments on the side with some descriptions. Be happy to answer questions at this point.
Councillor Kylie?
Through you, your worship. I'm just curious, did we receive any rebate from DSAB yet on the reserve refund?
Yeah, I don't have anything, sorry to you, Mayor. I don't have anything official from them, only what you guys have informed council of. I don't expect they'll hear about it for probably
We may find out tomorrow.
another month or two, could be tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, time for their admin to catch up to their decision making, so nothing yet.
Councillor Shabbat?
Yeah, through you, your worship, to the to treasurer, on page 14 of 18, airport. We have under expenditures, the line item contractor services for the airport. Are there any examples of that? We have example to services that will be contracted out under the airport, even though it's not really heavily utilized.
And through you, Madam Mayor, off the top of my head, what those.
That's right.
CEO Smith?
With the, maybe the dragon can correct me, but the one would be the Optent agreement that we signed regarding the navigation systems. That'd be a contracted service.
Ah, okay, just.
Thank you for that. Any other questions? Councillor Owen?
Through you, your worship, we extended the garbage pickup contract by 2 years. When is that coming up for renewal? Would it be this year?
Madam Mayor, September 2025 is when both contracts end, the garbage and the recycling. Recycling is being picked up through the new system that you've been exposed to there, what's happening there. But at the same timeline, the extension ends in September 2025. You know, internally, I know we've had some discussion about the putting that out to tender early in the year. So that we're not caught off guard timelines and stuff like that.
Perfect, thank you. Follow up?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say that's why I was asking the question, because as a counselor, I didn't want to get caught asleep and then we don't have time and it's a major contract and the ratepayers are stuck with paying the bill. So thank you very much.
Definitely. Anything further from members of council? None noted. All in favor? Opposed? Item carried unanimous. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Item number 7, considerations of notice of motions. There are none this evening. Item number 8, introduction, reading, and consideration of bylaws. Bylaw number 24-077, a mover. Counselor Owen, seconded by Counselor Kylie.
Moved by Counselor Casey Owens, seconded by Counselor Patrick Kiley. Be it resolved that the following bylaw be read, numbered, passed, signed by the mayor and the municipal clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. Bylaw number 2477, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of an easement agreement with Hydro One Networks Inc. over a portion of Hart mining claims L2728 and L1439.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 8.2, bylaw 24-078, mover. Counselor Owen, seconded. Thank you, Counselor Ranger.
Moved by Counselor Rick Owen, seconded by Counselor Janice Ranger. Be it resolved that the following bylaw be read, numbered, passed, signed by the mayor and the municipal clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. Bylaw number 24-078, being a bylaw authorizing the execution of an agreement with EXP Services Inc. for an engineering review of the 2024 flood and concept remedial options for the town of Brooklyn Lake.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 9, questions from council to staff. There were none submitted previously. Item number 10, notices of motion from council members. I have 2 this evening. Number 1 is the AMCTO recommendations for updates to the Municipal Elections Act. And number 2 will be AMO-OMA Joint Health Resolution Campaign.
AMO.
The second one,
Yeah.
AMO-OMA Joint Health Resolution Campaign. Those are 2 that we received in our counselors' resolution package when we get them from our clerk. Okay, we're good. Item number 11, counselors' reports, updates from members of council. Mover. Counselor Shava, seconded. Counselor Owen. Does any member of council have anything to report? Okay. I have to clarify the difference between the settlement services funded by Refugees, Immigration, Citizenship Canada, provided by the Timmins District Multicultural Center, and the services provided by the Kirkland Lake Multicultural Group. It appears my comments previously during the discussion of the support motion last meeting may have alluded that they were equal in scope and services provided, but they're not. The local group aren't confined by government oversight nor the requirements. We're all familiar with government has, and they are able to provide the boots on the ground services that integrate new members into our community, like those local tours and the events that I mentioned. It was my desire to support our local group, not to misrepresent the different level of services those 2 entities provide. They are both very, very excellent services and very, very needed. And I do sincerely apologize for the confusion that went out afterwards. Since our last meeting, I attended the last market day as a volunteer of the Planet Youth Steering Committee and Planet Youth North Action Group to continue to introduce our community to the pillars of this important initiative and highlight what we can achieve as a whole to decrease the factors when it comes to youth drug and alcohol use. It is clear members of this community see the issues facing our youth today, and we're keenly interested in a new approach. It took Iceland 20 years to change their societal norms, and I am confident the Canadian society can do the same, but it will take all of us to accomplish that. Teachers, coaches, parents, co-workers, employers, anyone who interacts with our youth could get behind this initiative to make that societal change. On another note, though it was the last market of the season and a bit chilly, it was very well attended, and I received nothing but positive feedback from everyone in attendance. Holding that market brings people not only the vendors, but people to our community from the surrounding area, and it has a positive economic impact on Kirkland Lake. So kudos to Kim, Haley, and all the staff involved in making the market the success that it is. I did give the opening remarks at AMCTO, Association of Municipal Managers, Clerks, Treasurers of Ontario Zone 8 meeting held at the complex. And I was actually able to sit on some of the presentation regarding MFIPA, that is the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection and Privacy Act. I was pleased to see the presenter inform members in the room to always tip the scale on the side of the freedom of information. Though there are legitimate exemptions, but they are to remember that we work for the public, they work for the public, and the public permits everything they do. I think these introductory statements were important because members of the public can feel that municipal government aren't transparent and accountable. But being in the room when the group of CAOs, clerks, treasurers, managers, and supervisors are told point blank to support the transparent sharing of information puts my mind at ease, not only as a council member, but as a ratepayer as well. This morning, I was a member of the panel on the importance of mining in Ontario. As mayor of one of the most prolific gold camps in Ontario, it was my honor to represent Kirkland Lake and share our experience, our partnerships with local mining companies like Agnico Eagle and nearby Alamos Gold, as well as the positive impact the current price of gold will have on diversification of our community and businesses looking to locate in our area. This was through the agenda with Steve Packin on TVO. So that will be going out shortly, from what I understand. I also want to bring attention to the amount of work being done in regard to Murdoch Creek. I've taken a few drives. I know some of the council members have as well to check out those areas. And I am so impressed, and so are many members of the community in that area with the rate and the infrastructure is actually being created. So kudos to Public Works. Definitely, it's been a big undertaking, but we can definitely see the results. It's slow going, but it's definitely visual, and you know, the community does really appreciate that. Usually I want to end on a high note, but I need to pivot now to the somber reality facing many communities across Ontario. As per the email circulated to all council members last week, we have received our OPP annual billing statement for 2025. The increase in costing for the next year for the town of Kirkland Lake is over $700,000. This is a staggering blow to the budget process, even before staff and treasury begin to factor in any other municipal responsibilities we have to the people of our community. I take no pleasure in telling our ratepayers they need to prepare for what is coming. What I can say to our community is this: it's not enough to get angry. I'm asking them to get curious. Being curious means you're eager to know and learn something. And in this case, I need you to be curious as to why these increases are happening. I need the people of this community to take the time to read about the services that are provided to them and the cost of those services. I hope everyone makes sure they are informed when the budget deliberations occur, because all of those documents are available to the public. For my part, I've started discussions with our CAO on how we can lobby the provincial government on this issue, and we will be formulating delegations with ministers to advocate for funding changes when it comes to OPP. I will be reaching out to other mayors and reeves in my circle through TMA and the Now Caucus. The province needs to understand our people cannot be further taxed for the responsibilities that should be borne at the provincial level. I'm sorry to end on such a hard note. However, the people of our community deserve to know what to expect for budget 2025. The danger of being an honest politician is that you're not very good at sugarcoating anything. And I think our community members deserve the heads up. After that, all sunshine and rainbows, all in favor?
Moved by Counselor Lad Shaba, seconded by Counselor Rick Owen, be resolved that the verbal updates for members of council be received.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 12, additional information is the proclamation on World Stroke Day. Whereas stroke is a condition where blood vessel in the brain is either blocked or ruptured, leading to a sudden loss of brain function. And whereas on World Stroke Day, the town of Kirkland Lake wishes to highlight the importance of recognizing the signs and symptoms of a stroke and prevention measures available. And whereas it is important for everyone to learn to recognize the signs of stroke, which include loss of motor function, slurred speech, a drooping face. The earlier recognized and treated, the better the chance of full recovery. And whereas 1 in 4 people will suffer a stroke in their lifetime, about 90% of strokes can be prevented with simple lifestyle changes, such as keeping a healthy diet, being physically active, and avoiding excessive alcohol and drug abuse, all of which can drastically lower the risk of stroke. And whereas the town of Kirkland Lake extends its appreciation to residents and organizations who raise awareness of the disorders, illnesses, and conditions which increase the risk of stroke, and to those who offer to support those services and programs that can help improve the health and well-being of our community members. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Stacy White, Mayor of the town of Kirkland Lake, do hereby proclaim October 29th, 2024 as World Stroke Day in the town of Kirkland Lake. Moved by Councillor Dykens, seconded by Councillor Owen.
Moved by Counselor Dolly Dykens, seconded by Counselor Rick Owen, be resolved that council sanction the proclamation for World Stroke Day, October 29th, 2024 in the town of Kirkland Lake.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. We will now take a 10-minute recess before moving into close. Rise from recess to move into closed session. Moved by Councillor Ranger, seconded by Councillor Kylie. Deputy Clerk.
Moved by Counselor Janice Ranger, seconded by Counselor Patrick Kiley, be resolved that council adjourn in camera pursuant to section 2392 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended, to discuss the security of the property of the municipality, personnel matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, labor relations or employee negotiations, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, information explicitly supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board by another level of government, and a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality at 6:06 p.m. for the following reason. Item 13.1, operational museum update.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Okay, well, now reconvene. Mover. Councillor Ranger, seconded by Councillor Owens.
Owens or Owen?
Owens with an S. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I raised my hand.
Yeah.
Moved by Counselor, just want to make sure I wasn't here that one. Moved by Counselor Janice Ranger, seconded by Counselor Casey Owens, be it resolved that council reconvened open session at 6:46 when we started that PM.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 14, matters from closed session. There are none this evening. Item number 15, confirmation bylaw, moved by Councillor Dykens, seconded by Councillor Kylie.
Great, moved by Counselor Dolly Dykens, seconded by Counselor Patrick Kiley, be it resolved that the following bylaw be read, numbered, passed, signed by the mayor and municipal clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. Bylaw number 2479, being a bylaw to confirm proceedings of council at its meeting held Tuesday, October 15th, 2024.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. A mover for adjournment, Councillor Ranger.
Be it resolved that Councillor Ranger moved to adjourn the regular meeting of council at 6:47 p.m.
All in favor? Carried unanimous.